This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
Welcome to Offside by a Mile, the podcast for anything and everything Colorado Avalanche, and the official Avs podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. Well, Jared, in the last, 9 days, because we recorded on Friday? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fuck. It has been a while,
There's been a lot of shit.
Yeah?
To talk about. I mean, not overly Avs-related, but... Dude,
a little bit.
Pierre Maguire almost got a job in the NHL as a GM. We're so close. We're so close.
Shit.
It would have been. Man, could you imagine?
I would love to see him up there on the draft day.
Oh man. Legendary pick.
This is a legendary pick.
Feel like, dude, you're making it. Can you shut the fuck up? Like,
just commentates his own fucking pick.
Anyway, Jared and Tyler here as usual on Offside by a Mile. Thanks for tuning in. So Pierre Maguire had an interview with Arizona, and surprise, surprise, he didn't get the job. I mean, who'd have thunk it?
Unreal.
Just could you imagine? Could you imagine? With the shitstorm that is the Arizona Coyotes again this summer, that would have just been the cherry on top.
I feel like that would have just fit so well.
It would have, it would have been perfect.
Just keep the chain of events rolling, dude.
Oh man, and if you want to just jump on that, there was I think 17 NHL teams confirmed to have cut pay to front office staff and stuff. So Arizona is still a shitstorm. They got caught with the delayed bonuses or late bonus payments from July 1st and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come out and you hear about the 17 teams and you're just like, yeah, good job. NHL's really in fine form here.
Yeah.
The Ottawa Senators cutting pay for their coaches, which I'm not getting on teams for this. I'm not, because I don't really understand how the payment schedules work for front office staff. I mean, I would assume it's year round, but at the same time, for these teams that a lot of these teams are teams that haven't played for 6 months, not teams that were in the bubble or whatever, right?
And literally nothing to.
Yeah, they're not doing You're not scouting. There's nothing to scout.
There's nothing to get revenue.
There's no draft. Well, there wasn't a draft to prepare for really, and all the shit. So it's they weren't exactly working.
Mm-hmm.
Like they usually would be, but at the same time, it's it's not their fault. It's shit like that. So that's why a lot of these groups, a lot of those front offices agreed to the cuts. I think the Sabres, they had their coaching staff take pay cuts, and then they got asked to take more pay cuts, and they said "fuck you," which is okay, fair
enough.
Right? And then I think the Senators had the NHL had to step in and. So their coaches got back to full pay and stuff. I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of shit going on. Thankfully for the Avs, they're not in the news for that because they were busy playing hockey.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a league-wide thing when hockey doesn't resume till January, if that's what happens.
Yeah.
Right. If that's how it ends up being, if it's January before hockey starts again for the 2020-2021 season.
Oh yeah. What the fuck?
What
are we gonna call it?
Is it just gonna be the 2021 season?
2021.
I don't even know, but it's just I could definitely see that kind of stuff coming out in November. I don't know. I really have no idea because it's not like they're gonna have. It's not like they're gonna have a 2-month training camp.
There's no blueprint here.
Yeah. So I don't even know what's happening. It's just it was. Not. If you're an Arizona fan, I'm sure it was refreshing to see other teams have financial issues.
We're not the only one this time.
But at least it wasn't just a straight up case of they weren't paying their coaches. Oh, they forgot to pay them. But I know just the Pierre thing. I loved it because I still have a soft spot in my heart for Pierre McGuire. And I think on top of it, I love how much people hate Pierre McGuire.
He's just a meme in the hockey world.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to embrace Pierre. You just got to embrace him. And he's actually not that bad.
If you can get around his little quirky comments.
He tries hard, okay?
He does. Hey, man, he does his research. I'll tell you fucking that. No
Yeah.
one does more research.
How many of you guys wanted to know where Darcy Kemper was from 14 times?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You know?
Or any other player that he talked about. How many of you wanted to know what Cale Makar's pregame meal was when he was 12 years old? Because Pierre knows.
Pierre was there.
Dude, what do you mean you don't think Pierre McGuire could draft good hockey players?
Yeah.
He knows exactly what buttons to push to make them great. Yeah. He watched them as a child. He groomed them for the NHL.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had to start with Pierre.
That's great.
I had to. That being said, the NHL awards are kind of starting to roll. Yesterday, so Saturday, Nathan MacKinnon won the Lady Byng, which congrats to him.
It's good to see.
We joked when he got nominated and the fact that he was the only one without a arrest report on him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously he's got to be the best for that trophy. So,
Yeah,
here we go. But no, in all seriousness, aside from the playoffs, aside from the bubble where we saw him bitch and moan a lot and take penalties for bitching and moaning, he doesn't do that. So, the sportsmanship aspect of the Lady Byng, 100% he's there. He's not that player. He was just fired up this year.
Yeah, he only got one call, right?
Yeah,
it was
but
just the one bitch against
he definitely got
linesman,
some.
I guess
He definitely got some
backlash.
Stern talking tos on top of that one penalty, which he normally doesn't do.
And then he took one other penalty in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that was uncharacteristic. I remember I think it was a hook. And it was just behind the play. But man, you look at his body of work this season, and I'm just glad that he's getting that recognition from his peers.
Yeah, and honestly, the other Avalanche guy we're going to talk about soon. But anyway.
Yeah. And I just feel like the Lady Byng, to me, is almost more of a show who's the top player in the league for the particular season.
I'd say it's probably number 2 for me because you still have the why can't I think of it? The Ted Lindsay. To me, the Ted Lindsay is the top because it's player voted.
Yeah.
Right.
Or yeah. You're right.
Ted Lindsay to me is the number 1. If your peers tell you that you are the best of the bunch.
Yes.
100%. But I think the Lady Byng has a place. I really do because Brad Marchand ain't never going to win the Lady Byng.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Sorry, in a way I misspoke, I guess. It's more like the top respected player, I guess, is what I'm more trying to say. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the thing is too, which is crazy, is what's the stat? Let me find this one sec. What is he? The third player in the last 20 years, I think it was, to have more than 90 points. Okay, so let's just stop there. We played fucking 60 games this year? 60 or how many did he play?
68 or something.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So yeah, we were actually not. I guess it was. He probably played around that many because we had
69. He played.
Yeah, so he missed 2 games. 69 games. The dude has 93 points or something, and then less than 12 penalty minutes. He's only the third player in a shortened season. He's the third player in the last 20 years to get more than 90 points and have less than 12 penalty minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is insane. And we all know how fucking crazy of streaks he was on this year. And then you look at the playoffs, the streak that he was on there, and he's still at this moment leading the playoffs in points, which is kind of funny because it's almost, we're getting to halfway point in these next series. It's kind of that
it's basically
anyway.
Over now, apparently.
Yeah, well, could be very soon, right? But yeah, I mean, that's awesome, man, and I'm so glad that he won that, and he deserves it.
That's you look at Nathan MacKinnon this year. He pretty much had 1.5 points per game.
Yeah.
Right? 69 games, 93 points. He's almost at that 1.5 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Leon Draisaitl still had 110 points.
Yeah.
Like, are you nuts? Like, legit, we can... This is, again, going back to what I was saying with, like, the fact that I think the Ted Lindsay is... To me, the Ted Lindsay is you're the best player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
The Hart, we can debate the naming of the unofficial name, like what the trophy means, right? Because it's called most valuable, but it's not most valuable. It's most outstanding, period. Pure and simple.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yep. Good call. Yep.
You can't argue that Leon Draisaitl deserves the Hart. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
By the way that we vote, or by the way that the Hart is given out. Most valuable player, though, Nathan MacKinnon
Let's be honest
is...
here.
It's easy. It's easy he's the MVP.
Yep.
But not the way we give the Hart out.
Right.
That's why I like the Ted Lindsay in terms of you are the best player in the... Like, well, you just... Again, it's a respect thing. If your peers... And I think Leon Draisaitl is going to win the Ted Lindsay, too. Because, dude,
very
he had 110
possible.
Points in 71 games.
Right. I don't really know how you can argue.
But, like, if there was a legitimate MVP trophy, Nathan MacKinnon's taking that all day.
Yeah.
Right? And then, again, like, the fact that he got the Lady Byng is awesome. I hate that we're talking about trophies right now. I fucking hate it. Because we shouldn't be talking about trophies. We should be talking about the Avs being up 3-1 on Vegas at the moment, not Dallas.
Shit.
But we're not, and we're talking about trophies, and it's the silver lining, and we're taking them all.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully Mr. Makar can get his name there.
Dude, if I'm having this conversation next week on the podcast about Cale Makar getting screwed, like I'm going to talk about Joe Sakic getting screwed, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
I'm going to be pissed.
It's going to be a heated episode.
Like, I got triggered when Sakic wasn't even nominated for GM of the Year. If Cale Makar doesn't win now, I'm losing my mind. Losing it. I know we said it before. I wasn't going to lose my mind. I am now. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
Got to get heated about something, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got to be passionate. I got to be
Let's pour some
mad.
emotion in here.
Yeah. I haven't had it. I've literally, like, and I've seen the tweets and I've seen all the shit from, like, Avs fans on Twitter about, like, you know, how it's hard to watch hockey. I do this every year. I love hockey. I watched almost every game while the Avs were playing. I barely watched Saturday's game. I barely watched today's game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, I always get to the... Okay, first of all, because my teams never make it. Never make it. Okay? Like, barely ever. Like, once in my life, okay? I always get to the point in conference finals when I really start to just kind of lose interest a little bit. But I still like to watch and, you know, see what's going on.
It's just hard to not watch it with, like, a care behind it.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I probably watch hockey the most logically and the most analytically, because I don't care. Like, literally, I don't really... Okay, I don't really like the Dallas Stars, but I respect what they're doing.
I've kind of changed my tune since we talked to Michael last time. I don't want Corey Perry.
I thought you were going to say Carey Price.
I don't want Katy Perry to win a cup.
Yes, there you go.
I don't really want Jamie Benn to win a cup.
Yeah.
But fuck me, do I want Hudobin to win a cup.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like, Game 3, Hudobin against Vegas, where he tweaked his groin or whatever the hell he did after making like 4 split saves, where he had absolutely no business making saves, and then taking them to overtime, and then they get to win it early in overtime, and all that jazz. Radulov with the beauty winner in Game 3. Like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Hudobin, oh my, he has won my heart.
Yeah, man. I love his character, man. He's great. He's just one of those goalies you want to rally behind, you know?
Yeah, like that. Like, he's not good. Like he's not
the most technical.
He is never gonna be that, like, top 10 goalie in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter what his stats are. I feel like it's kind of like Frankie, in my opinion. Like, to me, like, Frankie's stats were out of this world. Fuck, was he top 15 goalie in the league? No.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be crazy to think that. Like, that you just got to be super biased. I think Hudobin's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck me, this is how Antti Niemi won a cup for the Blackhawks. I mean, Corey Crawford too. Like, I don't think Corey Crawford's that great of a goalie either. That's sort of anti-biased, if you want to call it that, right? But
Chris Osgood style.
I mean, like Osgood always had the rap of the Detroit Red Wings, and I mean, Antti Niemi kind of Crawford too. They get that same, like, the team in front of them was so good,
Right.
But the team in front of Hudobin is really good defensively too. For them, they weren't the greatest defensively against the Avs, but look at all year, like, they're a defensive hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
Hudobin's still making outrageous 10-bell saves.
Yeah.
Chris Osgood still made outrageous 10-bell saves. Antti Niemi made 10-bell saves. Crawford made 10-bell saves. They just make saves. You're never gonna be Carey Price good. You're never gonna be Ben Bishop in his prime, on fire good. But that doesn't mean you can't win games for them. Like, Hudobin legitimately won them game 3.
Right.
Pure and simple.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really changed my tune on, like, I'm kind of okay. Like, I feel like I'm more okay with, I don't know, because Robin Leonard gives me that same vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just hasn't done it for me like Hudobin has.
Plus, yeah, like, and if you look at the series, right, like, who's the more impressive goalie? We know. Yeah. Also, yeah, like, that just goes, put another file into his character, Yeah. Like, that's probably the biggest thing is, yeah, you can be a good goalie. Like, Carey Price, he's got some pretty good poise, for
he's a
sure,
stud.
right?
Why did they beat Pittsburgh?
Yeah. But, like, you look at some of the other goalies, and some of them, falter, have little shindigs that happen during the playoffs. And then you look at goalies like Hudobin, who's not the best technically sound, who's not, he's not the highest rated goalie by anybody whatsoever.
No.
He's basically the backup for this team. Maybe not this year, but, like, he's, on paper, he is.
Well, I mean,
but
there's what, 6 goalies that have started for their teams in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Leonard, Fleury, Hudobin, Varlamov, Greiss, and Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Is Hudobin 5th or 6th?
Right.
Probably.
And then
is he playing like a 2 or 3? Absolutely.
Right. Exactly. And I think that goes to show you how much, like, heart and focus, mental strength, those all come into play so much more than raw talent.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, yeah, sure, you can be the most talented. Johnny fucking Gaudreau. Okay? This guy is amazing. Like, the dude is talented as fuck. But look at him in the playoffs, right? No heart, no guts. What happens? You don't produce, you don't do shit, you get knocked out of the playoffs. This guy's, like, making these crazy saves. Like you said, game 3, that was crazy, man. Like, crazy saves. He made some crazy saves against Colorado. Like, that's pure just grit, grinding through. Doesn't matter how you stop him, he's doing it. So
it's cliche, right? When you talk about goaltending, right? You always compare goaltending, like, to being a player, right? And it's the Jamie Benn factor, kind of, I find, with Dallas too, right? Like, when Jamie Benn's not scoring, he plays a physical game because he knows that he can produce something.
Right.
You can battle harder. And the old cliche is you can't battle harder to make saves. Well, Hudobin is showing you that you absolutely can.
Yeah, man. What do you mean? Look at Dominic Hasek, man.
You can't save the puck harder. Oh, Hudobin sure can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's mind-blowing. And obviously the tweak that he had in game 3 was just a tweak. But I'm sure he's playing through something now. Like, I'm sure it's not healthy.
Yeah, probably, right?
And I'm not gonna say Grubauer is a softie, but, like, it's if Hudobin did hurt himself, the Dallas Stars are fucked.
Yeah. Who's
Ottinger is not gonna be the guy.
Right.
He's played one playoff game.
I mean, you never know.
Or sorry, he's appeared in one playoff game. He played like a period.
tossing him to the fucking
right?
alligators.
I mean,
dude.
it could be Bennington 2.0, but even crazier.
Yeah.
But right, it's just I don't know. I still stand by the statement I said last episode, I think too, where to me, with where we're sitting, I mean, after round 2, there was 3 series that were 3-1. Not a single team that went down 3-1 won a series. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go on that same premise and say Dallas and the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to the final.
I would 100% agree with that.
I'd be very surprised if the Islanders and the Golden Knights won 3 straight from here on out.
For sure. I would say especially the Islanders personally, but
yeah. Well,
maybe because you know that Vegas has a hell of a lot more to give, but
point was a very, very crucial thing for Tampa Bay, and the fact that he played Game 4 makes me believe that Tampa's going to the finals, period. Mm-hmm. And what they did to this New York Islanders team so far makes me think they'll be able to do the same thing to Dallas.
Yeah.
And that's what I said last week, because just they're playing against a defensive stud team.
Yeah.
They are, pure and simple.
Yeah, the best defensive team in the league.
The only thing that Dallas has over the Islanders is more pests. Like
people that can knock you off your game, that's for sure.
But even then, like Matt Martin, like he's in the Island. Like they're so similar. And I guess the other difference is Hudobin. Like Varley's not been bad. Grice wasn't great, but Grice got them there in Game 7 of round 2, right? And then Varlamov, like he got beat by really good shots today, like in Game 4, right? Like I wouldn't say he's definitely not playing at the level Hudobin is, but he could.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Islanders just I don't know what's going on, but it's just Tampa is just finally doing what they were supposed to do last year.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
This is the way I expected Tampa Bay to be last year.
Yeah, for sure. And that's
not necessarily roll teams, because this is hockey and you can't roll teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, not every game, that's for sure.
But not looking very beatable in a 7-game series is to me what Tampa's looked like.
Yeah, you don't see too many blatant weaknesses that are going to bite them in the ass, really, right? No. Like they're pretty sound in every area of the game at the moment. So
yeah. And like every game of that series has been tight. For like obviously the final scores haven't been tight.
Right.
I guess Game 1 was crazy. Sorry, but like 2, 3, and 4, they were tight games that went down to the wire, and then all of a sudden Tampa just got, the late goal or whatever and an empty net or whatever, like today.
Yeah. Finding the ways.
If I, in a feel-good moment, I would say I want Tampa to win the most, just because I don't hate them the most.
Yeah. And
it's not Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vegas doesn't deserve one yet because they haven't put in their time. I don't give a shit.
3rd year. Fuck off. I mean, holy shit,
am I jealous?
Dude.
Yeah, absolutely I am.
Yeah.
Fuck you, though.
But, like, I got to say, like, for Vegas, like, it's still super epic what they've done. Like, you fucking made the playoffs 3 years in a row, and you've gone to the final in your first year, and you're on the verge of, you're in the conference final anyway. That's huge.
You went 4th round, 2nd round, and 3rd round so far.
Yeah.
That's not so bad. But, and again,
rough hockey fan life over there.
Yeah, I know. You're almost in Boston territory.
You don't even know Vegas fans. You know what they deserve? A good solid 15-year playoff drought. Welcome to the NHL.
They're in like the Boston fan, like, oh no, we didn't win a championship in Boston this year. That's too bad. We won 3 last year or whatever. Like,
what a shitty year.
The Celtics look like they might actually win one this year for Boston. It's just like, fuck you guys.
True, yeah.
But the first year Vegas team, whether or not you can say they deserve it, they played well. They rallied around the shooting in Vegas and all that stuff, right? Like that whole season of just the misfits and just all the outside hockey storylines. The goalies, 5 or 6
starters? Was it 6? It might have been 6. I know it was at least 5.
It was definitely 5.
Yeah.
Right. It was a crazy season, and they made the best of it, and they made the finals. And they didn't win, but, man, that was crazy. The storyline was great. And then they added the roster, and then they added again. Like, this team is legit. Like, it's not like right, obviously joke about last year's exit with the Pavelski cross-check thing, the crap, the 5-minute penalty, all that stuff. This is not a team that is being like fed wins. Like you can't pull that like, oh, the NHL's they're getting the goal interference calls, they're getting the calls from the refs. It's not that. They are a legit hockey team.
You can't
like they are a
fluke
legit
that far.
team.
Yeah.
How they're under the cap
that's a whole other story.
Blows my mind. But like they have like they have the best goalie tandem in the league.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
really know how you can. Yeah,
Right? Like,
I don't know how you can argue that really.
and then you look at the forwards and like Shea Theodore and stuff like that. Like they're a really, really talented team.
Yeah, Theodore is
Doesn't mean I
big.
want them to win. It doesn't. And then the Islanders, man, I saw a tweet or whatever today too. It was like, I'm never watching hockey again if it's the Islanders and the Dallas Stars.
I
in the
was
cup
like
final.
thinking about that the whole time.
And
too.
it's
I'm
like,
can you imagine?
That would have been so boring. So boring.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some boring cup finals before, but that would probably be a little bit torturous.
It's just like 14 shots a game total
yeah.
for both teams.
1-0
1-0
in overtime.
The whole series is played in the neutral zone.
Yeah, exactly.
10 of those 14 shots are dump-ins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, thankfully we're not looking at that right now. But, I mean, crazier things have happened.
I was going to say, you never know.
The percentages are saying that somebody's going to come back because nobody came back in the second round.
Yeah.
That being said, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the elephant in the room that I've tried to kind of avoid.
We sidestepped it for a bit there.
We did sidestep it for
Got a
bit.
little sidetracked. It's good.
Joe Sakic
Yeah.
did not even make the top 3 for GM of the year. Now, for those that don't know, most of the NHL awards are voted on regular season performance. The Rookie of the Year included. All, like, for the majority, most of them are regular season. The GM of the Year, on the other hand, is voted after the second round of the playoffs, which is why you have 3 out of the 4 GMs of the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
This is because trade deadline acquisitions need to have room to breathe and actually perform for why they were picked up. I understand this. I just don't understand the results.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what Joe Sakic has to do to become GM of the year. Joe Sakic, we've talked about this a million times. Additions, Nazem Kadri, Donskoy, Belmar, Nichushkin, Burakovsky, Nemestikov. I guess Hutchinson. Like you have to say Hutchinson because he played playoff games, right? I would have never guessed that was a thing, right? Like those are all those are all players. Like those are all guys that factored in big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Michael Hutchinson got them to Game 7.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is easily like his worst move. Like for additions. Like that's easily his worst one.
Yeah.
And he got them 2 big time playoff wins and got them to Game 7.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's crazy to me. Don't forget that he signed Mikko Rantanen.
To a solid deal.
To a pretty solid deal, in my opinion, yeah. Like I think it's fine. Right? Like don't forget that. He also signed Francouz to a 2-year, $4 million deal. Like that was huge.
Yeah.
Like that was huge for what this team needed, clearly. I don't know what you need. I don't know what you need to do, especially what you need to do to be in the top 3. Now, devil's advocate here. We, as fans of the Avs, know that Joe Sakic improved this team to a very, very, very higher level.
A very higher level.
A very higher level. I don't even...
A higherest level?
The higherest level you could imagine. He improved this team huge.
Yeah.
However, they ended the season in the same form they did the previous year.
Yeah.
So, strike against Joe Sakic, maybe, if you want to call it, for being GM of the year, because to me, it's how well did you improve your team? obviously standings-wise in the regular season.
And results.
Huge. In performance, in depth of the lineup, obviously was huge.
Yeah.
In reality, when it comes to the playoffs, huge. Or sorry, not huge. Exactly the same. Game 7, second round, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What did the other guys do? Like, so Tampa Bay. So we'll go with Breezeball first.
Yeah.
He took a team. Now, yes, they made the third round. This is great. They didn't get knocked out of the first round like they did last year. They had a record-setting point season last year. So what you're telling me is Breezeball improved the best team in the league into being a better version of the best team in the league. I don't give a shit what kind of moves you make. That's not a very big improvement. Because they weren't a better regular season team this year. They just made it farther in the playoffs. And yes, again, like we said, through 2 rounds, that's when the voting happens. That is a thing. I believe he should be in the top 3. Because he also made really nice moves.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he signed on free agency. Like, he signed, now this is a big one, Luke Schenn, watch out. Curtis McElhaney, pretty huge. Cedric Paquette, okay, legit player, played for them a lot. He signed Vasilevsky to a really nice extension. He signed Braden Point to a nice extension. A very lucrative bridge deal for Braden Point. But again, a nice deal when you compare it to more Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, Rantanen, stuff like that. Like it was good, kept him under the cap, all that stuff.
Gives him a nice window.
Signed Patrick Maroon, signed Kevin Shattenkirk. Huge moves. Very. I believe he should be in the top 3.
Yeah.
But he took a team that was a record-setting points team the year before and tweaked them and made them a little better. And then did stuff that he had to do because you had to keep Braden Point. You had to keep Vasilevsky. But to me, extensions aren't necessarily GM of the year worthy moves. They're not.
Yeah, that's kind of just falls into your lap.
That's just your job.
Here's your job. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like you drafted this player, you developed this player, you have to sign him. That's your job. I don't give a shit. Like they didn't steal either of these guys. So they're not like, to me, that's not brownie points.
Right.
Trades, again, Blake Coleman at the deadline. That's a big deal. That is a huge move.
Yeah.
Barclay Goodrow, also a very good pickup, has been very needed for what Tampa Bay needed in the playoffs.
Good utility player.
Also good moves. Yeah. Definitely moves that have helped them get to where they are in the third round. Again, he should be in the top 3. Lou Lamoriello, the eventual winner of the GM of the year, which I believe he, to me, out of the 3 that were the top 3, that is the pick.
Yeah, it's definitely the right answer.
I believe that is the right answer. However, he took a team that went from being the worst team in goals against 2 years ago, hiring Barry Trotz that summer, to becoming the best team in goals against with 2 good goalies in Leonard and Greiss. This summer, he adds Varlamov to replace Leonard. And then what? He made good moves. Like he got, why can't I think of his name? Peugeot, right? Like that's a huge get. Get. Changes a lot of their offensive dynamic, right? Like he made lots of moves, but again, it's not a ton. So they got Varlamov. They re-signed Anders Lee again. It's technically not an extension because he went to July 1st. He was on their roster though. He's their captain.
Right.
They got him signed. All is good. But let's not forget that there's some really bad deals that he's made, and it wasn't necessarily this year. But it's again, it's GM of the year. It's not a build up. Like that's what Breezeball bugs me about. Because the other thing with Breezeball is the fact that Yzerman built the Tampa Bay Lightning. The foundation that is there, the majority of their elite foundation is all from Steve Yzerman. Yes, Breezeball was an assistant GM, but that's not the GM of the year stuff.
Right.
But you go back to the Islanders, right? They picked up Ho-Sang, but he hasn't really done much. Michael Dal Cole is huge. Derek Brassard is huge.
Still mad at Ho-Sang for using 66. Bitch. Heresy.
Like Beauvillier, huge get, but that's it, right? And like trades, nothing, basically, right? Like they got Pajot, right? Like that's
Yeah.
But sorry,
that's just so early on. That's why you don't think about it as much. But
right,
that was a good trade, though. It was a good trade. But yeah.
But to me, like, because Pajot to me seems like the most effective trade acquisition from the deadline and stuff. Like what he did to the Islanders' offense was give them something other than Matt Barzal, basically, and Brock Nelson and the crew, right? So like the Pajot ad is huge. It to me is the most expensive addition of the 3 GM of the year candidates, right? And that's why I think Lou Lamoriello deserves that, because hitting on a trade deadline acquisition is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
See Mesnikov.
Plus on one, and plus he was, highlighted, I guess you could say. So, it's good. He won the battle to get him as well.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I like the Lou Lamoriello out of the top 3. But again, I'm trying to lay this out as unbiased as possible, because I don't want to sound like I'm just being a biased fan as usual. Right? Like this is why I legitimately don't understand what GM Joe Sakic has to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because really the things that Lou Lamoriello did to make the Islanders better is far less than what Joe Sakic did. And it makes me think that if the Avs win Game 7, he's GM of the year, which is ludicrous.
Or at least going to be a final. I agree with that too. And I hope that that's not a reason.
Exactly, because the reason they lost Game 7 was not Joe Sakic.
It's not the team he built.
It's not even Jared Bednar.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they had 700 injuries in the regular season and the playoffs.
And if you think about going through the season, like you talked about every single pickup that Joe Sakic made, that literally corrected all the problems all of the previous year's problems, we corrected all of that.
If the Colorado Avalanche were the same team from last season, they couldn't have lasted through the injuries this year. They wouldn't have had the firepower. They wouldn't.
They wouldn't have made the playoffs. There's no way.
No way, right?
Yeah.
And so it blows my mind. And that's why this one, to me, this is the Game 7 one. This is it. Jim Nill.
Yeah.
Jim Nill being on the top 3 is ludicrous. Ludicrous.
There's no way you can tell me anybody, okay, maybe some people did, but majority of people were not putting Jim Nill in this category before the playoffs started.
You're telling me Jim Nill deserves to be in the top 3 of GM voting because he signed Joe Pavelski and Corey Perry?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me? I'm being dead serious. I'm being 100% dead serious. This is his July 1st. Landon Bow, a goalie who's 23, clearly never played for the Dallas Stars.
Who the hell is that guy?
Reese Scarlett, Joe Pavelski, Tanner Caro, Andre Sekera, who's a 6th defenseman that almost lost them the series and then won them the series in overtime, which looks really good.
Yeah.
But this is a guy that was bought out by the Edmonton Oilers of all teams, who don't have defensemen. And yes, part of the buyout was because of how much money he made, but you think if the Edmonton Oilers could have used a defenseman, regardless of what they had to pay him, they would have kept him. Corey Perry, Gavin Bayreuther or something, I don't know, 25-year-old defenseman, never played. Dylan Hetherington, Jason Dickinson, who was a legitimate player for them in the series against the Avs and in the playoff run so far. Again, decent player. Thomas Harley, Dawson Barteau, Jared Rosberg, Frederick Karlstrom, Ryan Shea. There's 4 players there that are on their roster.
Yeah.
How many did I say about Joe Sakic?
I don't know, 7, 8? 8?
I think 8.
Yeah.
Okay. And then trades. Yeah. Nothing.
Loading. Buffering.
AHL player / junior player of Ola Palv.
He was huge in the run.
2020 6th-round pick. That was their trade deadline.
Yeah.
So again, how exactly is he a third place ballot getter for GM of the year?
Because he had to play Khudobin.
Like I literally just don't understand. Like
I honestly want someone to explain it to us.
And
like, can someone...
I was trying to find the ballot numbers because they released ballot numbers for Coach of the Year, where Bednar was 5th, I think.
Yeah,
6th?
I think.
Which
5th.
I agree with. I don't agree. I do not think that Bednar was Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
I don't.
Me neither.
Did I think he might have been 3rd?
Possibly,
but like, I think Paul Maurice was more deserving. And who Torts? No, who won?
Tortellini.
No, it was Boston, right?
Yeah, it's Bruce Cassidy.
Yeah, Cassidy.
Yeah,
I think. I'm
it
gonna
was. I actually have it up here too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Anyway, I believe that was legit. I believed most of the votes for Coach of the Year were pretty legit because later in the season, I definitely and in the playoffs for them, and I believe Coach of the Year is done regular season wise.
I think so too.
Playoff wise. After the playoffs, though, especially, like, definitely some eyebrows raised with the way the Avs adjusted in the series, both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So there's that, and I think Bednar. I think that's where Bednar should be. I don't think he should have been in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Nill, though, in Dallas for GM of the Year is just absolutely asinine in my opinion. And
yeah.
Actually, one thing I did want to bring up, I was watching some Toronto radio, and they pointed out the fact that Coach of the Year, one coach that I don't even know if, like, unless you looked at it and you know what I'm going to ask you, one coach received one third-place ballot that was absolutely bonkers.
Oh, God.
His only ballot, his only point was a third-place vote.
Okay. Oh, God.
It's a relatively new coach in the East. Big name. Absolutely horseshit season.
I don't know.
Joel Quenneville got a third-place vote.
What?
What?
What? Okay. I don't even know what to do but laugh.
like, whoa, pardon? That's like being like, you know who should be a Hart Trophy finalist? Corey Perry.
It's just like, what? Are we playing war here or something? Just flips over the card. Yeah, I'll vote that.
Yeah, sure. Fuck it.
Just top 3.
They
pulling
pointed
out
that
names
out.
out of a hat.
They pointed that out, and I was like, are you pardon? They'd be like, Vezina goalie of the year. Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
What?
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like,
holy shit, you're smoking something, dude.
It's just like, so for those that don't know, it's media, for the most part, media, and the GM of the year is voted by GMs and media.
Mm-hmm.
But most of these awards are voted by the media. And that's the thing with Quenneville. It was probably either a Chicago guy or a Florida guy that gave him the vote.
Yeah.
And while I understand, because you give media the official media, not us, not those dipshits that are super biased fanboys, but like real media, they're supposed to be unbiased. They're supposed to be professional, and they're supposed all that shit. So it's like they're supposed to be objective. They're supposed to be the right people for the job, in my opinion, quote unquote.
Yeah. I don't really see a better way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. They cover the sport. But that being said, is nobody watches 82 games a year for every team.
Yeah.
It's just like us. Like, we're in the same conference as Quinn Hughes. I obviously didn't watch him as much as I watched Cale Makar. And that's the thing with the media, too, is I don't think the media does this. You can't tell me that a Colorado reporter that can vote for Cale Makar to be Rookie of the Year. Because you know there's an Avs reporter, right, that voted. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell me that he is unbiased, like has watched Quinn Hughes the same as Cale Makar.
Yeah.
Or Kubalik or whoever is a rookie that has a chance, right? Like, you can't tell me that. So that's the problem. But at the same time, like, what are you going to do, GMs? Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to change anything, right? It's the peers. It's not going to change anything either. So it's probably the best. But at the same time, it should be 100% transparent voting. Like, it should, like, that one guy that voted for Joel Quenneville, it should be this guy voted for Joel Quenneville. So you can be like, you're an idiot, and just
Yeah. And next year, you're not voting.
go to his Twitter and be like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Right?
Could you imagine?
But, like, I mean, at the very least, we get voting numbers, which is weird. I don't know why I can't find GM of the Year vote numbers. Because, like, Coach of the Year ones were, like, instant on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And, like, very transparent on, like, how many points they got, how many votes, first, second, third place votes they got, right? Like, it was 100% transparent aside from who the votes were from. But I'm sure you could find that somewhere. So it's just crazy to me. Again, the Sakic thing, man. It's just he got fucking jobbed so hard. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and it's so funny because
to me, like, George McPhee, I guess, is it even George McPhee? Yeah, it's still George McPhee. It's his assistant to the left, right?
Yeah.
George McPhee deserves it over Jim Nill.
Yeah, probably, actually.
Like,
if you think about the body of work and the differences, right?
Because, right, and then, like, the other thing is, to me, and yeah, like, again, obviously there's some sort of performance-based stuff. But when it comes to that, like, the GM, his job is finished on the trade deadline day. Like, the only thing he can really do is make moves up and down.
Yeah.
And again, if you think Joe Sakic didn't do a very good job at that, you're insane.
Yeah. And calling a massive amount of players into the bubble.
Yeah. Like, a massive amount, and the right players. How many times did again, we talked about it last episode after the Game 7 loss. There wasn't a glaring issue with one of the new guys. New guys being, like, the guys that were filling in for injured players.
Yeah.
That lost them Game 7.
And plus, on the flip side, Dallas didn't really have to use any other players.
Not really.
Like, okay.
I mean, Kiviranta.
I was going to say, that's a fucking anomaly.
But again, he played 2 games.
Yeah.
Before the end of the second round. He played 2 games.
Yeah.
That's not a
and it's
fucking,
one player. And it's
that's
one
not a
player.
GM of the Year move. That ain't. Get out of here.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Right? So that's what I mean. Like, if you want a performance-based voting for Coach of the Year, that's why Paul Maurice deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and the funny thing about Paul Maurice too, and it's going to go with the Vezina and the Coach of the Year goes hand in hand a lot.
Yeah.
Because a good goalie makes a good coach, and a good coach makes a good goalie. Because if it's, again, look at the Islanders, right? Like, Barry Trotz, Robin Lehner, and Thomas Greiss didn't get them to first in the league in goals against average.
Systems.
On their own. They're 2 good goalies that played really well last year.
Yeah.
But Barry Trotz showed up.
Yeah.
The Washington Capitals didn't just win a cup. They won a cup because Barry Trotz taught them how to play defense.
Yeah.
Right? And again, if your team can play defense, it makes your goaltending look very good. Look at Markstrom.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Demko.
Shit.
The reason Demko could make 40-something saves a game in games 5 and 6 against Vegas was because most of the shots were from the outside. Yeah, it's a lot of saves.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not from the slot, like, if it's not your goalie making split saves like Hudobin, 40 saves isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Like,
mean, yeah.
So that's why, like, I like Paul Maurice for Coach of the Year, because that defense was in shambles.
Yeah.
Weeks before the season started.
Like, talk about the shittiest start when it comes to everything in the background.
Yeah. And then we've talked about it, right? You look at Hellebuck with, like, double digits goals saved above average, or whatever that freaking advanced stat term is.
Yeah.
Compared to the next, like, I think the next guy was at like 5 or 6, and Hellebuck was like 12 or 13 or something.
Right.
Like, he's getting the Vezina. If he doesn't get the Vezina, he got jobbed too.
Oh, seriously, yep.
But right, like, Hellebuck doesn't do that. Like, yeah, that's what the goal saved above average or whatever stuff that takes into account the quality of shots against. So yes, maybe that defense wasn't very good. But when you win games with the defense they had, regardless of how good your goalie played, it makes the coach look good.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe I'm getting the smoke and mirrors treatment. That's why I think Paul Maurice did a good job, but I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
I think Bednar did a really good job with the Avs too because of the injuries.
For sure, 100%.
But did he do coach of the year jobs? No. That's why I think 5 is about right.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe he does if we don't have all those injuries.
Right? Very possible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, you look at the NHL's coaches of the year, and it doesn't really favor you very well when you win coach of the year because you generally get fired.
I was just going to say, because next year you're fucking gone.
Unless you're Tortorella somehow.
Yeah.
Because, like, legit, and that's another one. To me, like, Bruce Cassidy was a good option. Again, top 3 option. Tortorella, though. But again, why did Tortorella look good this year? Because he had 2 goalies that played out of their goddamn mind.
True, and under the radar, right?
Korpisalo and Elvis, holy shit.
Yeah.
Right? But again, that Columbus team, and this is the NHL, and this is the way the coach of the year gets voted. It's the team that surprises you that generally gets coach of the year.
Right.
Which is why...
it's almost like most improved, kind of, right?
Kind of. Right? Which is why Paul Maurice is on my radar. That's why Tortorella is on my radar. That's why Trotz won it last year.
Yeah.
Right? Bruce Cassidy, legit. But that team is legit.
Yeah.
You don't really need a coach when you have Pasternak, Brad Marchand, and Bergeron on the same line. Plus, you have Charlie McAvoy and Chara and Krug. And
remember we were talking about trade deadline players that came over, and I was like, who's that player that went to Boston? Charlie Coyle. That's who I was trying to remember,
right.
By the way. Sidebar.
But right, like it's stuff like that. So like again, some of the awards that have happened, I for the most part agree with very much, and that's the thing too, right? Like when you get to the best of, especially in a pro hockey league like the NHL or pro league period, I mean, but you look at the top gets very competitive.
Yeah,
and that's why to me the fact that Jim Nill made the top 3 is fucking ludicrous.
it is. I don't get it. Don't make no sense to me.
But in a happier note, with the Dallas Stars, Corey Perry got. And I fucking love it.
And it was in a hilarious manner. Like, manner? What did I say?
Manner.
I don't know. It was a hilarious manner. Honestly, I couldn't have laughed harder when I saw that.
I saw, man. It's so, again, being on the outside of biased fandom is the best place to be. Because watching people lose their goddamn minds about how that was just ludicrous and how that's got to be interference on Tuck and all this garbage. When A, it's Corey Perry, and B, it's not interference.
Yeah, he's just getting a bad rep in this fucking series, though, Tuck.
Oh, man. But hey.
The slew foot.
Perfect. You know who deserves to get fucking cheap shotted?
Oh, hell
The
yeah.
Dallas Stars.
Oh, hell yeah.
And as
give it to him.
Awful as it sounds, and I don't want players to get hurt, and I'm kind of happy Corey Perry's not hurt.
Yeah.
When you play like an asshole, people lose respect for you. And when people lose respect for you, this shit happens and they laugh at you.
Yeah.
It's not our fault you play like a cocksucker.
Yeah.
Like, right? And it's just like, it's good to see. Yeah, you hate to see it. No, you fucking love to see it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me happy. And yeah, Alex Tuck, that slewfoot on, who the hell was
I'm
it?
trying to think. It was Sagan.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that
is
bullshit.
That was bullshit.
And that needs to be called all day. And the fact that Jamie Benn like basically just about killed him was perfect.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't a playoff game with like real meaningful stuff going on, Jamie Benn would have killed him.
Yeah. Probably.
And Alex Tuck would have deserved it.
Yeah. 100%.
Because slewfoots are the greasiest shit.
That
and
was like
I said it in our group chat. I sent it, and I'm like, this clip, this GIF, whatever you want to call that video that I sent in our chat, That needs to be right beside the penalty rule, like in the penalty rule book, as this is slew footing.
Yeah.
And I want to save it so that every time somebody bitches about a slew foot, I can send it to them, because that was the epitome of slew footing.
Oh yeah. That's like legitimately not trying to hide it too.
No,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
so fucking blatant. It was hilarious to watch.
Right, like I'll go back to the Chara one from, I believe, the first round. Yeah, it had to be the first round, where he like when he hurts Svechnikov with it, right?
Right, yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, it's a slew foot." He didn't even kick his feet out. It was just his knee.
Yeah.
And it's like, you understand, slew foot. Is it a greasy play? Yeah.
Yep.
Is it slew footing? No. Tuck, on the other hand, does like exactly like textbook. He kicks his feet out and he puts his hand on his chest and throws him to the ice.
Mouthful of butt end and glove.
Yeah. Right? And it's just
You're
like
a fucking dick,
like,
dude.
And the fact that he didn't get called for it.
Yeah, yes. That is the worst part about it.
Yeah.
Like you can't fuck that up.
But hey,
It's like a dangerous fucking
you know who
play.
else didn't get called for something super greasy? Corey Perry in the Avs series.
Yeah, the massive butt end.
Right? Like, and it's just like, it's playoffs, but what goes around comes around. Karma's going to get you every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. So thanks, Tuck, even though you didn't really, that's the funniest thing about it is you watch it and just watch Corey Perry. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, look where you're going.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing about the interference.
Yeah,
right?
I don't even think, I don't even know how you can call that
Alex
interference.
Tuck is looking down the boards.
Yeah.
And this is the funny thing that I saw on like Dallas Twitter and stuff that were like losing their minds about it. And they're like, "Oh, Alex Tuck knows exactly what he's doing."
Oh, Dallas bitching about dirty plays. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, yeah, he probably saw a green jersey and he probably said, "Fuck it, I'm not moving."
Why am I getting out of the way of this?
It's not his job to move. And you know what? If you're gonna skate looking behind you like Corey Perry did, you're gonna run into somebody.
Yeah.
Because guaranteed, if Alex Tuck is the one that ends up on his ass and Corey Perry isn't, it's Vegas fans losing their goddamn minds.
Oh, and Dallas is like, what?
What do you mean? That's exactly why being on the outside of biased fandom is the best place to be.
Yeah.
The best place. It's the funniest place to be.
For sure.
But I loved it. I couldn't, I was like, this couldn't happen to a better guy.
Oh yeah. 100%. You said you were happy that he wasn't injured. I agreed, but also I kind of want him to be injured.
I feel a little dirty. Which, I mean, again, that's probably allowed.
Or just like next game, just someone deke him really bad and he falls over. That's also a good thing. I could deal. What else? What else we got here?
I don't know. I was trying to think of what you wanted to talk about. I think we're pretty much covered there, though.
Yeah, I mean, Calder's coming up, so we already talked plenty about that.
Which, again, the Calder, the rest of the trophies, I kind of like the way they're doing this because, A, the awards ceremony show, whatever the hell you want to call it, is horrendous.
Redacted.
It's never good.
True.
I
feel like it's more of a fan thing anyway, kind of.
Yeah,
obviously,
but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I know. Every time I watch one, I'm just like, oh my god.
Like,
what's the point?
If I was in Vegas, if I just happened to be in Vegas at the same time the award show was on, I'd want to go. But would I go to Vegas to go to the award show? 0% chance.
That's probably not a reason I would go.
Right, and now that they have a team, it's weird that it's just there, which I'm sure it'll maybe change.
Which
we'll
I
see.
don't know. Yeah.
But this I like. Like I like announcing it at the start of the game or in the intermission or whatever they've decided to do so far, and then having a chat about it.
Yeah. As
it happens. I like that. I think I think it's really well done. That being said, I understand why the NHL wants to have an event. Because it's another event to sell ads for
money,
and all this stuff.
Monies.
Just like
especially this year, they're like, "Fuck! I wish we could have an awards show."
Yeah, it's another reason to sell ads and stuff like that. I get it. It's just not good, and it's always corny, and it's always bleh.
A little cringy.
Yeah, the cringe is always front and center.
Yeah.
So it's that. I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna stick, but we'll see what they do for the majority, like the big trophies in the cup final thing, whatever they plan on doing here. Because I mean, really, it legitimately could be 3 days away, after this podcast is released.
Right. If you're listening on Monday.
The Cup final could start on Wednesday.
Yeah. And if there's any indication of how quick they're turning shit around.
Yeah, like it is legitimately it's starting the day at, or I guess no, it'll probably Thursday would be the first day because they don't want to go back to back.
Yeah, they'll give a day off.
So I guess it could start Thursday, which means we could see. I would guess the awards would be Saturday, maybe. Just cause.
Probably would make more sense. I guess.
I also really liked Sunday's game being at 1:00 because they were just like it makes me laugh how terrified pro sports are of the NFL.
Oh yeah, totally.
It makes me like Thursday night. Even the NBA played early so that they could be out of the way for the Thursday nighter.
Right.
It was so funny. Like it makes me laugh, and I understand. Like football is huge. Football is the sport in the States, like ratings wise. But it just makes me laugh that the NBA is definitely number 2, and they're still like,
yeah.
Actually, I don't know.
MLB might be number 2.
I was gonna say MLB, but the thing with
kind of thinking about that
per game viewing, I think NBA is probably higher, just because like the MLB is higher, but it's got fucking 1,000 million games.
Yeah, if you catch one a week.
Yeah, right. Like
played 5 times this week.
Right. It's, I don't know. Like for total views, I think MLB is probably higher, but for per game, I think the NBA might be higher.
Average viewers, yeah.
But yeah,
probably at this point it better be. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Playoffs and shit. So.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Again, we should ride for Joe Sakic. He deserved it. He really deserved to be number 2 at the very least.
We talked about it so much. It's honestly depressing that he didn't get in that top 3.
Yeah.
He should have at least been mentioned. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like you said, we don't get to see the votes. So it's we don't really know, was he number 4? Like,
yeah, I just want to know, like, what does a guy got to do?
He better have been number 4.
He legitimately can't do a better job.
Yeah, like
that's
the thing. Like you said, once you get to playoffs, or I mean, basically past trade deadline, like the GM's work is done. I don't know what he's supposed to do differently. Oh yeah, like I guess we should have got someone else because we're gonna have 7 injuries in the playoffs.
I guess we should have went to Costco and bought a bulk package of bubble wrap.
Yeah,
like
maybe we should have got another goalie.
Yeah,
fuck's sake.
Maybe we should have got Robin Leonard.
Yeah. Which could be a thing they'll think about going forward, which I don't totally discount, but that's a thing for another.
Yeah, that was the weird. Like, so Joe Sakic had his what was I trying to say? He had his charity golf event, and he said he was happy with his goalies, and said that I basically said he was sticking with them. We'll see about that.
Time changes a lot of things.
Time changes a lot of things.
Same with goalies becoming available.
I was also very sad that they didn't give us a legitimate injury report for the end of the playoffs. I was really looking forward to that.
Right. I guess we didn't really even talk about that.
Yeah, we talked. I guess Zadorov had his surgery on his arm.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what part of his arm. It was below his elbow.
I think they said forearm or something, so it could be a number of different things, but nothing really else other than we were basically learning Grubauer could have possibly come back at some point. Frankie definitely was not going to be coming back. Landeskog was definitely not going to be coming back. And that was a cut. We did know that. Yeah. And obviously we knew it anyway. Yeah. I don't even know how the fuck he came back on the ice.
Me neither.
Like, you crazy son of a bitch.
But it was probably the reason he probably tried was because it was probably still numb.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the thing about cuts is it's usually worse the next few days after.
Oh man, coming down off of that.
Yeah.
Adrenaline and shit. Oh god.
Yeah.
Bullshit
injuries. Go away, ambulance. Seriously, next year we better not have to fucking deal with this shit. I don't even know how you can prepare a team.
I think collectively as Avs fans next year we just need to have like a prayer or something to the hockey
kind
gods.
Of seance of some
we
sorts.
just like every single game day or something. We just gotta like have some sort of like offering to the hockey gods to like keep the Avs healthy. Because man, Well, what could have been? What could have been?
Yeah, it's a statement I keep repeating in my head.
I guess before we go, since I totally forgot and we're an hour in, the Hockey Podcast Network's weekly internal promo this week, is the very new boutique podcast, I guess we'll call them, in the Bar Down Breakdown. It's a bunch of guys that love their hockey, but they also love their music and all kinds of shit. So have a listen, and thanks for tuning in this week, and we will talk to you next Monday.
Did you know that your favorite band also loves your favorite hockey team? If you love hockey and you love music, you're going to love Bar Down Breakdown, a podcast that explores the crossover between alternative music and the sport we love, hockey.
Every NHL player wants to be in a band, and every band guy wants to be in a pro athlete.
With guests from all over the globe, come along with us as we interview some of the most captivating names in alternative music and talk about why we love hockey and how it's influenced us.
There was for a few seconds, a thought of like, well, maybe we should wear Montreal jerseys, and the NHL was like, I think you should stay neutral. And we're like, yeah, you know what, you're probably right.
So tune in every Tuesday on the Hockey Podcast Network, where we'll have a brand new guest and a unique look into the bridge between hockey and music.
The biggest thing you can do to support us is by going to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and giving us a 5-star rating. Also, if you're looking to donate to the network, visit the Hockey Podcast Network's Patreon page. All donations go straight to the podcast host. Thanks, and see you next episode.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter @HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.